Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So before we get started, make sure to hit the like button, also subscribe to my channel. In this video, we will talk about compound interest, how to get rich. So make sure to watch the full video. Everyone wants to get rich, but few people actually leverage the easiest, most foolproof way to grow your wealth. No, it's not investing in Bitcoin or your friend's latest startup. It's called compound interest, and it allows you to magically grow small amounts of money into huge amounts over time. The key, though, is to start early. Here's why. What is compound interest? So what is compound interest, and how does it work? Compound interest is interest earned on interest, which leads to a substantial growth of your investments over time. Even a small initial investment amount can lead to higher wealth accumulation, provided you start early and think long-term. Basically, compound interest is what happens when you reinvest your earnings, which then earn interest as well, resulting in a snowball effect. The earlier you start, even with a smaller investment, the bigger your cash snowball will grow. In the video embedded above, we use the example of Sarah and George. Say both Sarah and George enjoy the same return rate of 8%, but Sarah invests early, at age 22, and only invests $6,000 a year for 10 years. After that, she doesn't invest another dime, but allows her compound interest to grow. Meanwhile, George waits until he's 32 to start investing. He invests the same amount every year until his retirement at 65. In total, Sarah only invested $60,000 total, compared to Georgie's $204,000. Who you think was the wealthiest of the two at 65 years old? Thanks to Sarah's early start, she actually ends up with $1.3 million at retirement, where George has $1 million. Both are excellent, of course, but if George had started when Sarah did, he'd be richer at retirement. The Rule of 72. Want to double your money? The Rule of 72 is a fun tool that can help you estimate the number of years you'd need to double your money at a given annual rate of return. All you have to do is divide 72 by your rate of return to get a rough estimate of how many years it will take for the initial investment to duplicate itself. How the Rule of 72 works. If we look at our example in the video, every $6,000 Sarah and George invest earns 8% per year. If we divide 72 by 8, we get 9 years. This means that every 9 years, that 6,000 will double. Since Sarah started to invest quite a few years before the other, we can easily see how the exponential curve was hard for George to catch. The Rule of 72 is reasonably accurate for low rates of return. Try it yourself with this handy calculator to find out for yourself how long it will take to double your investment. Ever heard of the phrase, make your money work for you? That, in a nutshell, is what compounding does. It's your money making more money over time. Compound interest can grow your wealth because it is interest that's earned on top of interest already earned. This concept applies not just to the money saved in your bank account, but on returns earned on your investments too. Investing is one of the most powerful things you can do to build wealth for the long term. In Singapore, a high-yield savings account may give you 1% annual interest after you've fulfilled all necessary criteria. But an investment in Singapore real estate investment trusts, REITs, could give you an average annual return of 6.9%. Here's an example of how compounding works to turbocharge your investments. Suppose you invest $100,000 today. 20 years later, your original investment would have more than tripled to $386,968, assuming it earns 7% every year. Put simply, your investment grew through compound interest. By leaving your investment untouched, your portfolio gains were reinvested. Interest grew on both your principal and reinvested gains. But if you take out the interest on your investment each year without reinvesting it, you'll only earn $7,000 every year for a total of $140,000. Compare this to the $286,968 you could have earned if you had let compounding do its magic instead. How to make compounding work for you. To reap the benefits of compounding, remember that time is your best friend. The earlier you start investing, the more your money will grow. Let's look at two friends, Jack and Jill. Jack starts investing at age 25. He invests $20,000 every year for a total of 10 years. Thereafter, he stops contributing to his investment portfolio and leaves his money invested for the next 30 years. Jill starts investing later than Jack. She begins at age 35 and invests $20,000 every year for 30 years. Can you tell who will be richer in retirement? The graph above shows why you benefit from investing as soon as possible. Jack invests for only 10 years, but ends up with more money than Jill, who started investing later. This is despite the fact that Jill's total amount invested is $400,000 more than Jack's. Give it time. You can also see that the graph above gets progressively steeper with time. This reflects how compounding builds on itself to accelerate your wealth creation. Warren Buffett exemplifies this best. It took him roughly 56 years to build a net worth of $1 billion. But to turn $1 billion to $60 billion took only 27 years. Thanks to the power of compounding, the largest increases in his net worth took place in the later years of his investments. This is also why patience and a long-term perspective is important when investing. Let your earnings be reinvested. It can be tempting to take your dividends out of your account and spend them every year. But reinvesting your dividends is a much smarter way to boost your compound returns. By buying more shares using your dividends, you grow your investment base. Remember, when your investment amount is higher, your compounded returns are higher too, and over time, it can seriously add up. According to Sykes calculations, reinvesting your dividends can give you an extra 0.5% in returns each year. This is also why dividends in your SIFE account are automatically reinvested for you at no extra charge. Compounding is truly one of the ways anyone can use to build wealth. Getting the most of it is simple. Invest early, be patient, and reinvest. The best part, getting started is just as easy with robo-advisors like SIFE, making investing in Singapore possible in just 3 minutes. Accounts that earn compounding interest. If your investment account earns compound interest, then you are earning interest on interest, in addition to interest on your investments. Compound interest is undoubtedly the most important concept to understand when building wealth for the long term. Noted genius Albert Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. How compound interest works. Compounding is happening when your investment grows each year, and when the amount that your investment grows by also increases. The value of an investment that generates earnings is compounded by earnings that generate earnings of their own. It's a relatively simple concept, but with mind-blowing possibilities. The longer you let your investments grow, the more rapidly they grow. Simple interest vs. compound interest. While compound interest includes interest earned on previously generated interest, simple interest is just the interest rate multiplied by the investment or principal amount. Simple interest is more often used in a loan or bond context, where the interest is the same every period and there is no compounding. Compound interest is used in investment and savings contexts. Which types of accounts offer compound interest? You have several options to take advantage of compounding interest to build wealth. Each of these investing strategies generates compound interest. Savings accounts. Banks lend out the cash that you put into a savings account and pay you interest in exchange for not withdrawing the funds. Savings accounts that compound daily, as opposed to weekly or monthly, are the best because frequently compounding interest increases your account balance faster. You can open a savings account with any local or online bank. Money market accounts. These are mostly the same as savings accounts except money market accounts allow you to write checks and make ATM withdrawals. Money market accounts often pay slightly higher interest rates than savings accounts. The downsides of money market accounts are that most have limits on the number of transactions you can complete each month, and sometimes charge a fee if your balance falls below a certain amount. Zero-coupon bonds. These bonds generate the equivalent of compound interest to compensate for the risk associated with holding zero-coupon bonds. A zero-coupon bond holder purchases a bond at a steep discount, receives no interest payments, coupons, in exchange for holding the bond, and has paid the bond's face value when the bond is due. The risk is that the company may not be financially able to repay the bond's full face value at the end of the term. Dividend stocks. Stocks that pay dividends generate compound interest if you reinvest the dividends. You can instruct your brokerage to automatically reinvest all dividend payments you receive and buy more shares. While savings accounts and money market accounts are both extremely safe options, you are unlikely to find an account that pays even 1% interest. To significantly profit from compounding interest, it's important to diversify your money with different types of accounts and investments. The power of compounding interest. Compounding interest can turn meager investments into wealth over time, but only if you start investing as soon as possible and then stay invested. The sooner you start investing, the more time you've had for interest to compound on interest. The $1,000 investment in the example above increased by $983 from year 5 to year 10 and by $7,064 from year 25 to year 30. The longer you wait to start investing, the older you are before you reach year 30. Staying invested is key to maximizing the effects of compound interest. If you're constantly moving or withdrawing your money whenever the market declines, you lose out on a lot of potential compounded interest. Who benefits from compound interest? Both financial institutions and consumers benefit from compound interest. Banks pay compounding interest to consumers at low interest rates in exchange for not withdrawing funds and simultaneously lend the deposited money to earn attractive streams of interest income. Consumers can use compound interest in either the accounts discussed above or with stock returns to turn a relatively small nest egg into a healthy retirement account over time. Can compound interest make you rich? Compound interest can turn you into a wealthy person, but not quickly. The effects of compounding interest occur over the long term and only if you prioritize buying and holding as an investor. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to our channel before you go. Thank you for watching.